Most days I run past my old high school. We live right down the street, and I graduated in 1980, so it was probably 1979 when I learned a great communications lesson from one of my teachers up on the second floor. So I believe it was right after lunch hour, and as all the students were streaming into Mr. Marshall's classroom, I noticed they were ignoring him. The crowd, the students were being really loud, and I was just sitting back and kind of watching the teacher's reaction. And he just looked around, and eventually he very calmly got up, grabbed a chair, like a metal chair with a hard plastic seat, and he just casually tossed it probably 10-20 feet across the room into a cinder block wall with a hard tile floor. And that thing just crashed, bang, ricocheted, bounced off the wall, made one hell of a racket. And Mr. Marshall was not a big guy, just kind of a lean man with piercing gray blue eyes. He kind of looked like he was staring right through you. And he just, cool as a cucumber, sat back, looked around, and once that chair stopped banging around off the floor, you could hear a pin drop. Everybody was paying complete attention to him, and he just calmly started his classroom, his lesson for the day. And never again did he have a problem commanding the respect of his students. And of course, the lesson for me was, you know, sometimes to get some attention, you just have to throw a chair across the room. In January of 2018, I entered the lottery to run the Superior 100. And I got in, and of course, realized that a good number of people who wanted in, at least as bad as I, did not get in. So I absolutely trained more than I had ever trained to be ready to complete that race. On the evening before the Superior 100, at the pre-race meeting, one of the things I learned was that any runner who has completed the race 5 times does not have to go through the lottery. If they enter the race, they're in. After the pre-race meeting, I had about an 80-mile drive back to my campsite, and I had stopped at a convenience store on the way and noticed several guys that appeared to be part of the race. I was chatting with a gentleman who was wearing his Superior Finisher's hoodie, and it had 4 stars on it. So right away I realized he was probably running again, or what I ended up finding out was that he did not get in. He was there pacing and crewing for a friend. So he was in the store with 3 or 4 of his buddies, and I was talking about, you know, my goal of trying to finally finish a really hard 100-mile race. And I'm clear from the flatlands of Ohio, and I'm talking about running it in my sandals, and he says, "Oh, Superior is hard. It's," and I'm cleaning up the F-bombs here, "it's effing hard." Then he says, very intensely, extremely loud, he says, "Superior is so effing hard." You could hear a pin drop. Everybody in the store stopped doing what they were doing, looked our way, and probably were thinking there might be a fight breaking out. And of course, that was the moment that the 4-time Superior 100 finisher threw the chair across the room. A lot of you might be familiar with the motivational speaker Tony Robbins. I did not know a whole lot about him, but I did watch his Netflix special recently, and the speech at the convenience store before Superior 100 was very much like a Tony Robbins intervention. He had my full attention, and I think I woke up that night dreaming about how effing hard the race was going to be. But as we talked, I explained to him many of the things I had done to get prepared for the race, and he said, yeah, I think you got the chops for this race. That was quite the confidence booster. But during the race the next day, I cannot recall how many times I thought, holy crap, this is so effing hard. Which of course is exactly why we were there, to test our limits, to get way outside of our comfort zone. And I think it was roughly 50K into the race, going on the hottest part of the day, day one, and there was my new buddy with a 4-time finisher volunteering at the aid station before the biggest climb of the day, up to the hottest peak of the race. And he spent quite a bit of time helping me out. It was really special. I wanted to chat with him. He said, you need to go. He pushed me out of there. So I got my 1 star. Don't think I saw him again after that. Hopefully he's running right now. The race is starting in Minnesota, the 100-mile distance. So hopefully he's out there getting his 5th star. And I guess the only other point of this video is to encourage you to do something that is so effing hard, it scares the shit out of you.